Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well. This is the Dodge Pod, Dodge TV AM show on Saturday mornings. I'm doing this as I wait for my daughter to finish her drama class. But I hope everyone's doing well. I'm back from Menorca. As you can see, I have a little bit of a tan, probably a few more freckles than usual. But I'm just coming here Saturday morning just to react to the West Ham news that's been going on over the past, let's say, 2 weeks, really. And the World Cup news. Obviously, I've got the England shirt on and ready for tonight's game, which is going to be interesting because obviously a win is probably preferred to finish top of the group. But a draw would be enough, only if Ghana managed to draw with Croatia or whatever. But I'll talk about the World Cup bit later. A special shout out to Cape Verde as well, which I'll be touching on later. West Ham news. Well, hasn't it been interesting? Hasn't it been interesting? Never a dull day being a West Ham fan, that's for sure. Obviously, all the takeover speculation as you know, doing its rounds. And it'll be interesting to see what develops over the next week or so. But for a brief synopsis of it, Daniel Kretinsky has announced that he will acquire the gold shares with the blessing of Vanessa Gold, and will get the support of Trip Smith and Terry Brown in terms of the decision making at the club. So obviously that will bring him up to 43% of the club, making him the majority shareholder. And I believe that is due to be completed before the end of this month, very imminently, I would say, just in time to remain within the Premier League financial year. So with that takeover, that means that Daniel Kretinsky can put in £90 million of his own money to help keep the club financially afloat. Now, with this, obviously, there's a rights issue attached to that, which means that the shares get liquidated by those that don't put in the money of their percentage share. So with Kretinsky willing to put in the full amount, that means that a certain other shareholder, their stake will be reduced, meaning that Daniel Kretinsky will automatically acquire greater percentage. So I'm in the fields and there's flies everywhere. A greater percentage of the club. So obviously that is great news, fantastic news, and that means that we've got, along with his pledge in terms of saying about converting the stadium, improving the training facilities, re-establishing the relationship with the fan base. It's all great. It's all great, but until it happens, we can only believe it when it happens, sort of thing. So, anyway, as West Ham fans know, we get promised the entire world, don't we? We get promised the world, and we never get it, and we always get like a compromise to it. So, I'm excited, but I'm reserved at the same time. So, yeah, it's looking hopeful, but not yet, effectively. But drop us your comments below. Tell me what you think of the Daniel Kretinsky era. The revolution from the Czech Sphinx is fast upon us. So yeah, that's topic one. Topic two is also about takeover, and it's also about Amanda Staveley. So Amanda Staveley appears to be interested in acquiring some stake into a football club. Now, obviously, with the video that she'd done recently with Spears in a Saudi-backed conference in Italy, she spoke on the show talking about the potential of looking at many, many European clubs, clubs in London, clubs that are not performing well, clubs that have a good identity, clubs that have a nice brand, feel that they're underperforming. Now, not being funny, she's just basically described West Ham. I mean, West Ham have a pretty iconic brand, I'd like to say. I'd say that the fans are not happy, which is, again, great. A club that's not performing well, I mean, considering that West Ham are in the top 20 of the most commercially profitable clubs in Europe, and that we've just been relegated, I'm pretty sure that's underperforming. So it does appear that Amanda Staveley is very interested in West Ham, even to the fact that Gio from Hammers Chat released a picture that he'd been sent of Amanda Staveley and her husband Medrad getting a guided tour by the London Stadium operator. Now, there's that saying, no smoke without fire, but blimey, she's definitely in the furnace right now. If you're interested in West Ham, there's a complete and entire link of that. But that is all great. That is all great. I mean, she's got history of negotiating the deal for Manchester City with the UAE Royals, getting into that club, buying it off the Thaksin Shinawatra. It could be Frank Sinatra for all I care. I don't really know. But obviously she picked up a nice wedge of that deal. And then she had 2 attempts at getting involved with Newcastle. Obviously the first attempt fell on its backside because of the streaming rights and obviously the piracy attached to that. So obviously that failed on its first attempt. But then on the second attempt, it went through. And Mike Ashley was finally outed at the club. And I believe the PIF have a minority stake, and the Reuben brothers are the ones that have the majority stake. So although PIF have a share, have a say, it's not as big as the Reuben brothers. But interestingly, Amanda Staveley and her husband had a small percentage of the club. Now, after a few years at the club and obviously guiding them to their first trophy in 70 years for Newcastle, I think she sold her shares, so she's of 5 to 8% to the public investment fund, private investment fund, or the Saudi group, and that meant that she had received a significant amount of change for that. Now, with the West Ham deal, and what it appears is that she seems to have a lot of interest in cryptocurrency and companies such as OKX, who have now a sleeve sponsor at Manchester City. So she's very involved in that. She's involved with Reuben brothers, but I doubt the Reuben brothers will be involved in any West Ham stake because obviously they're fully invested into Newcastle at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see what will develop from Amanda Staveley. But let's get this clear. She is the front and the face of a larger consortium group. So when people say Amanda Staveley is going to be an equal shareholder to Daniel Kretinsky, that's not true. That's not true. Amanda Staveley will be fronting it, front and centre, using other people's money as this consortium group as they look to get into English football. But Amanda Staveley will probably acquire a small percentage of stake as part of that. So although she's very much involved, she's very much the public figure of it, she won't be the one mainly funding the bid. She won't be the one that will be making the decisions, although she might acquire a sort of technical role at the club where that she'll be able to make some good decisions and forward-thinking decisions to get West Ham back into a competitive state in the top flight of English football and also compete in Europe. So, yeah, it'd be very, very interesting to see. And from the rumours that I've been told as well, from inside source, senior source, or certain levels of senior sources, they're not the one that's currently under allegations, but Americans have been to the training centre and have been to the stadium, and we know that because of people that have been present at the training centre at Rush Green. So, yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting times indeed, and I think American consortium will be the ones in Amanda Staveley's sort of hands, really. So that's interesting. But first, hydration break, I think. This hydration break is not sponsored by anyone, but if anyone is interested, please drop us a line on our Twitter account. But any help recommended. But we're all here for shits and giggles. It's not too serious. Yeah. So West Ham sort of stuff. I've got a question here in the chat from Malkstar. Morning, Dodge. I've got a question for you about, just out of curiosity. for the whole of last season, what would you give them out of 10 for teamwork as a whole? Um, Teamwork as a whole. As teamwork's probably a hard teamwork's probably a hard topic to really discuss because obviously there was two levels of teamwork, wasn't there? You had the teamwork from Potter, which seemed to be not great based on the feedback from rumours and what's been doing the rounds on social media. But the teamwork under Nuno seemed to have been a bit better. But as a whole, I'd probably say that a 6 maybe, because I think that although you've got your Bowens that will give 110% in terms of effort, and you think of who he's got playing behind him in terms of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you kind of have to question the teamwork link there. I mean, do they really gel as a right wing combination? I thought Kyle Walker-Peters worked better with Bowen personally. Also, the left hand side, like you've got Diouf and Somerville. I mean, that seemed to work in a way, but I think the fact that Somerville didn't track back when Diouf went forward left us exposed on the left hand side in terms of that. So then you had to have a Disassi or Mavropanos running across, or a Kilman running across and get caught out on counter attacks and get exposed through pace. Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one, mate. I must admit, but I think if their teamwork was anything over a 6, we wouldn't have been relegated. And I think there's been a few bad eggs in that camp. For instance, to Debo, the sooner he goes, the better. Personally, I don't know why he was ever put in place. I like Areola. Areola seems like a nice guy, but I just think in terms of team play, I think he's probably more of an individual, and that it's not his fault. It's just I don't think we're suited to him as a club. Good shot stopper, teamwork wise, not very vocal enough to lead the defence. Centre midfield, I think Magassa's questionable. I think leading up top. Again, like we had Tati and Pablo, I think they worked really well together as a top two. Tati always said that he prefers to play as a forward two, which is where a lot of his goals and that come from. And Pablo, I think Pablo is the one that I'm quite frustrated about, more so because of Nuno's management of him. Because I think Pablo, for me, as a leading striker in the Portuguese league, and he was someone that I touted to join the club in early December, and then it happened in January, just through an educational guess, really. I mean, in terms of who's a young Portuguese forward playing in Portugal that's a Mendes agent, Pablo Felipe, and then he ends up joining. So it's not really I'd say inside source on that. It's just a good guess. But I like Pablo, and I think he needs an Antonio moment. You know, he needs a dribble where he falls over his own shoelaces, falls over, the ball hits his shoulder, it comes off the Southampton player, lobs the goalkeeper, and that's his first goal. I mean, you know, Antonio now is a record Premier League goal scorer. So Pablo needs an Antonio moment, as calamitous as possible, a tap in, anything to just get them wheels in motion, because he will be good. He'll be good, and you think he's the same age as Freddie Potts as well, and he warranted a plus £20 million fee. So I don't give up hope on Pablo. That's all I can say. But in terms of teamwork, I'd say 6 out of 10 at the very best. Frogging a well, how you doing, mate? Hope all is well. Leslie, hope you're doing well, mate. Chris Brown, the Millwall fan, is he hiding the but yeah. The thing is, I could use my binoculars that I use when I go to London Stadium to watch games. So, you know, it's a 2-for-1 sort of usage now, isn't it, Chris? But yeah, no, I don't think, yeah. Less said about Spygate, the better. Anyone else in the chat? No. There's the go a bit. No, that's it. Anyone else want to drop us a question? You're more than welcome. This is your channel, as fatherhood, and any dad questions you want to ask me, is, you know, more than welcome. I had really good dad experience over the past couple of weeks with my little one, who's just about to start school in September. So I'm trying to get those, you know, social times with my daughter and holidays in before she goes to school, because that's going to take up the vast majority of her life, really, the education side, and I'll get to see less of her, unfortunately. That's just how it is as a dad, isn't it? You're a working dad, you work long hours, they're going to school, and you probably get you get to see them 2 hours at most a day, and that's being a full-time parent, and being in an unbroken marriage. So I'm celebrating my 10-year wedding anniversary this year in October. So yeah, that's again, I think that's pretty rare, really. I think in modern times. So credit to me and my missus on that. We've had tough times, but you stick together and you work through them, don't you? And I think most couples kind of go, yeah, you know what, it's ain't for me, and go off their separate direction, which again I think affects kids' lives. But there's no point being in a relationship if you're not happy. But if you've got to try and work things out before that is the last option. But yeah, but as I say, I'm digressing here. But yeah, I think dad time and kids going to school, I think it does hurt you a bit. That there's this video doing the rounds on Instagram, isn't there, of like a dad holding his hand out, and then you see like Thor's hammer just coming and going into the hand, and that's what fatherhood feels like when you're holding your kid's hand. It really does. Like it's so true. It's like the best superpower in the world. But yeah. Anyway, any dad questions? Drop us a thing down there. Transfer window. The transfer window's open again. Another big point in being a football fan in terms of who we're going to be bringing in, who we're going to be getting rid of. Obviously, Mateus Fernandes is leaving the club is a given, but who he goes to is the questionable thing. I mean, obviously Spurs sources are pretty much confident saying he's agreed personal terms. Manchester United saying he's agreed personal terms. Liverpool saying he's agreed personal terms. But the only terms that really matter is the fee between the two clubs. And West Ham have pretty much said, "I'll get back to you on that." So all these Spurs fans saying we've signed Fernandes and we're going to go for Somerville, blah blah blah. It's all bullshit. It's all nonsense. Because I'll tell you for why. West Ham don't have a director of football to control the transfers. So how can they sign players if West Ham haven't got anyone in place to be able to facilitate a sale of a player? We're going to get Kenny Brown to do it? I don't think so. He's too busy at academy level. Mark Noble going to do it? No, he's a sporting director, and that's not his job. Does Kretinsky do it? I think David Sullivan used to do it, but he's not there anymore. So it will be. There's a wasp on the camera. So yeah, in terms of outgoings, I think there won't be that many outgoing until a director of football is in place. So I wouldn't be too worried at the moment. And the longer it goes on, the better it is for us because we can demand a better fee. Somerville is doing absolute wonders at the World Cup at the moment. Absolute wonders. We were talking about getting rid of him for £20 million in January just gone. Now we're looking to get rid of him for almost 60 now, just because he's had a decent second half of the season and a World Cup to go to it. And to be honest, I'd get rid of him. I would. I think there's better wingers out there. I mean, he's got an explosive pace factor behind him, but again, like it goes back to Malkster's comment about teamwork. I just don't think Somerville's got that teamwork. I think he's very much for an individual player. And I think the bit that kind of dug with me with Somerville was last season when he had an injury, and our professional physios and club doctors advised him to have an operation and then come back in the new year. What did he do? He sat on the bench. He sat in the physio room trying to recover naturally. Because he thought he knew better. He didn't, did he? Because what happened? He went and played. He got himself back fit. Went and played Aston Villa in Graham Potter's game in the FA Cup. Got injured and was out for the season. Ended up having the operation he was advised to have 3 months before. Now he probably would have finished that season better. So, for me, I think players like that who think they know better than the professionals that are trying to get the best out of them, I think is a good sign to get rid of them. And we don't need players like that. Yeah, he's a good player, but it's not the end of the world. We've had good players. We've had better players. And I think Somerville going for 60 million quid, bite your hand off. He can go for 40 for all I care. don't bother me at all. Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. But yeah, Fernandez, yeah, again, he's had one season with him. He's a good enough player, 7 out of 10 every game. Mr. Consistent. You can know what you're going to get out of him. But when you look at him as a whole, did he perform that well for West Ham to get us out of trouble? Did he create moments of magic on a regular basis for us to get results? And I don't think he did. I think if he did create a moment of magic, it would be when the game was already lost. And I probably think the only game where I think he kind of stood out was the 3-1 win against Sunderland at home, which kind of driven that momentum for us to stay up. But yeah, I think that's like Fernandez and Somerville. That I'm not really bothered where they go, who they, how much we get for them. But I just think, I think you could reinvest that cash into players that actually want to give more for the club. So obviously, like with the with outgoings and stuff like Tadebo's linked to Fenerbahce on loan. I don't know who's controlling that, but again, a loan deal seems a loan with an option. I think it's probably the best thing for it. Get rid of him. I'd do an obligation rather than a loan, to be completely honest. But that's me. Alvarez, he's still playing at the World Cup, so he ain't going. Souček ain't leaving because he's picked up a pretty significant injury. It was led to believe it would be an ACL, but I think he's done ankle ligament injury, which is harder to overcome. So I wish Thomas all the best. I really do, and I'm quite glad in a way, because that means that he gets to stay at West Ham and for the second half of the Championship season, he'll be quite crucial for us. And also, we're not going to lose out financially, because if it is a long-term injury, FIFA have a compensation agreement for any players that get injured during international duty. Then the club get paid out for it after 28 days. So the first 28 days is, it is what it is. It's not considered a long-term injury, but anything over that, then they get the wages paid for. So Thomas Souček's wages will be covered until he's back fit and ready. And I think that's probably the best thing for us. And I really do sincerely hope that the club honour his loyalty and commitment by giving him a year extension on top of that, like they did for Angelo Ogbonna. So Thomas, wish you all the best, mate. Stay with us and help us get us promoted, if not win the league in the Championship next season. Or this season, now that the fixtures have been released. But yeah, I just think in terms of incomings, it's all waffle at the minute. It's all waffle. Like, I think Fatawu from Leicester, I think he's probably the nearest one that's being agreed. Again, I don't know who's controlling that. But apparently he's had his medical in America, and apparently he's agreed terms and he's ready to go. I was surprised because I thought he was a free agent, so I'm not entirely sure as to why I'm not really too sure as to whether. Oh, so I lost my train of thought there because I was reading the comments. Sorry, I'll go to the comments again. Right, so Melkster, we need players that are or will be investing in the club for the fans, and the players we have them to be invested in themselves and then next week. Yeah, that's again that to me, that's the biggest bugbear of being a West Ham fan, is being a platform club, because we get players in, we let them perform well, we get attached to them, and then they go, oh, a team in Europe is interested in me. Oh, I could be playing Champions League football. Oh, I might get double my wages. Oh, yeah, see you later, West Ham. Thanks, but no thanks. I don't want players like that at my club. I really don't. That's why I didn't really like Kudus, because I knew as soon as he signed for West Ham, on the basis that Chelsea pulled out of the deal, and knowing that he wanted to go after one, maybe 2 seasons, to me, it's just, again, I just didn't like it. And I'm not being funny. James Ward-Prowse outperformed Kudus in their first season, so make of that what you will. Gary Baker, old school friend Gary Baker. How you doing, mate? Hope all is well. Do we sign a replacement for Fernandez, or do we rely on Potts and Magassa? Again, I'm not convinced in Magassa. I really ain't. I think he's young. Again, he's young. He's raw. You've got Kante that's in the wings as well. For me personally, I think if we sell Fernandez, I'd like to get a replacement, and I would make a really big statement signing at championship level and go get Hayden Hackney. I know there's Premier League clubs out there that are willing to get him, like the likes of Everton, but I think a good example for Hayden Hackney would be, well, look how well Tyler Diblin did when he went from Southampton to Everton for big money. Never really got a game, did he? Never really got a game, and he's probably one of the youngest promising talents out there. But it's Moyes. Moyes don't like playing youth players, does he? Don't like playing youth. So for me, I think Crystal Palace are interested in Hayden Hackney, and Crystal Palace have got a good history of buying good championship players and getting them promoted, but then Hayden Hackney will probably look at that and think, well, I could play there and then I could get my move to a top 6 club, like what Alese did, like what Eze did. There's loads of Adam Walton will be off soon, because that's just how their model works. So for me, I think, you know what, let's try and sell something to Hayden Hackney. Let's say, look, we're under a new ownership, we've got a new era. We've probably got the Championship's most successful manager in Nuno Espirito Santo in terms of points per game, in terms of goals scored. We're probably we will be the biggest club in that Championship at the moment in modern day football. I'd like to say I'm not gonna piss on anyone's chips saying that someone below us has won more FA Cups than us that are in League Two. I'm not going to say that, but I just think sell Fernandes. Thank you. Bye. Let's get Hayden Hackney in and start building the team around him. That would be my bet. Hayden Hackney won't. Borough won't sell to a rival. Hackney won't leave the club for a break. You never know, mate. If the price is right, and if we get 85 million Fernandes, who's to say we can't meet Middlesbrough's valuation of Hayden Hackney for a player? Bear in mind, he's got a year left on his contract. So if Middlesbrough can get 30 million for him with a player left a year on his contract, that's big money for a Championship club. And I'm pretty sure, you being a Millwall fan, if someone come in for Femi Aziz for big money, who was on the last year of his contract, I think you would probably go, you know what, fair enough, I'll take that. And then it enables your club to build and keep buying these pockets of players for small amounts and building a team together. And I think Millwall got a pretty good team. I mean, I'm not one of them West Ham fans where like, oh, fuck Millwall, like, oh, fucking scummy. I've got a good connection with Millwall. I've got family members that are Millwall fans. My daughter is named after a Millwall fan. That's a true story. And that Millwall fan is actually related to the Moncur family, who are John Moncur, West Ham legend. So, who also played for Spurs. And funny enough, there's a bit of family news for you. There's another Moncur that has just signed professionally at Tottenham Hotspur. So, and that is John Moncur's nephew, I believe. So, another Moncur that's going to come up in the ranks. So you've had George Moncur and Freddie Moncur that were at West Ham and Leyton Orient, and now you've got, I can't remember his name now. I think it's Frankie. I think it's Frankie Moncur. Frankie Moncur at Tottenham. So that's one to watch. Coming up in the ranks. He's young, but I'm not expecting big things. But it's just another Moncur, another family name. Yeah, I mean, well, let's talk about World Cup then. So, it's been I hate to admit it. I'm not a fan. Well, I thought, I can't be asked with this Americanization World Cup. You know, bigger, better, brighter, bolder World Cup in the big US of A. It really grates on me. It really does. But I have to admit, I quite like it. I quite like the introduction of the hydration break. I quite like, talking of which, I quite like the replays attached to it, and I think the referee has been pretty good this year as well. I like the fact that there's more games. I don't like the fact that 3 o'clock in the morning, admittedly, but if I'm not being funny, if you're staying up watching Jordan v Algeria, I mean, you're a fan of neither. I mean, you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning, knowing you've got work the next day, and potentially dropping the kids off at school before work. I'd question your life decisions. I really would. I really, really would. But each to their own. But yeah, I think the World Cup's been good, to be honest. I mean, you know, in terms of England wise, I mean, Thomas Tuchel was a genius against Croatia, wasn't he? Absolutely brilliant. Fantastic. We're going to win the World Cup. Next game fixture, 0-0 draw with Ghana. 80% possession. Can't get the ball in the back of the net. Now he's the biggest. He's a flop. He's a spy. What is it? What is it? Is he a genius or is he a flop? What is it? I think West Ham fans, England fans, and the media need to kind of relax a bit. You know, this is a 48-team tournament, and 16 teams get eliminated in the first round, which is the group stage. If you don't qualify through that, then you are shit, aren't you? Let's be realistic. Look at Uruguay. Uruguay have won the World Cup twice, got 4 stars on their badge, for I don't know why. But they got knocked out last night. Cape Verde, right? It's their first World Cup ever, right? And they have a combined square footage or square mileage in terms of area, and it's just slightly bigger than Essex. And they've qualified as runners-up in their group to Spain, and they're going to be playing in the knockout rounds for the very first time in their history, and it's the first time a debutant in a World Cup has qualified for the latter stages of the competition. And the last time a team done that was Slovakia in 2010. There's a bit of facts for you. So Cape Verde, big shout out to them. We've got friends of the show who is from Cape Verde, even to the point he flew out there to watch Cape Verde draw with Saudi Arabia for them to finish second. I mean, what an experience he must have had. And I'll tell you why he went over there, because his cousin plays for the Cape Verde team. Kelvin Perez plays in Finland League, right? And he's on the bench for Cape Verde, qualifying for the knockout stages. And who have they got next in the knockout stage? Argentina. Cape Verde v Argentina in the World Cup. From this guy that plays football in Finland, and you've got a goalkeeper that's just turned 30 who has hit 15 million followers on Instagram. They're going to be playing Argentina, the current World Cup champions, in the World Cup. That's amazing. How can that not be good? How can that not be good for football? I'll tell you what is good for football. Scotland getting knocked out in the third tier. They were really, really confident, weren't they? They were really confident. I mean, they beat Haiti. I mean, again, when you look at size comparison, Haiti are probably about the same size as Chelmsford. And they beat them 1-0. They were going to go on to the quarterfinals, apparently. Nah. Got humbled by Morocco. And they got absolutely battered by Brazil. And they were hanging on a thread in their third place playoff, waiting for other teams. And they needed a lot to happen for them to qualify. So, unfortunately, Scotland, thanks for coming. That's all I can say. Thanks for participating. But you can banter England as much as you want. We're a big successful international nation, and we're entitled to get the banter if things don't go right. But Scotland just ain't there. You know, you've got Scott McTominay doing fantastic. You've got a load of other players doing fantastic. But let's be realistic. You're just not at that level. Well done for qualifying for the World Cup. That's as much as you're ever going to get. I'm not being cocky as an England fan. I just don't like fans that think that they're going to overachieve and over-egg stuff. I just control it, enjoy it for what it is, and don't think that you're going to be setting the world alight because you didn't, and you haven't, and you won't. You never will. You'll do a shock. You never will. Okay. No, it was a bit harsh on Scotland fans, but I think sorry. Sorry, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think like England, in terms of England, like I think everyone just needs to relax. Just relax, deep breath. We've got 4 points on the board. Playing Panama tonight, and we could top that group, which means that we will be playing Mexico, I believe, in the next round, and then potentially Brazil in the quarters, I believe. I think you got Mexico round of 32, Brazil. Is it round of 32? I think it's Brazil if everything pans out, and then I think it's Argentina in the semis. I think that's how it works. 32, 16, 8 for yeah. I think that's how it works. Please correct me in the chat if I'm wrong somewhere along the line. Reese Monker, is it Reese? Paul, cousin Paul, how you doing, mate? You all right? Reese Monker, is it Reese Monker? I thought it was Frankie. Okay, if it's Reese, it's Reese. I apologise. It's a Monker either way. We'll still top our group. Yeah, I think we will. I mean, I'm not being funny. If you don't beat, at least if you don't beat Panama, you don't deserve to top the group, do you? Really? I'm not being disrespectful, but again, England are just on another level. They should be doing it with their B side, even if it's like a 2-0 win against Panama with a B side. That's fine. As long as we top it, that's all that matters. Because we get a better end of the draw, or do we? Or do we get a better end of the draw? Because I think if we top our group, we'll probably play more South American, North American sides leading up to the final, and I don't think we'll play a solid European team until the final. So, do we want to come first to have that side of the bracket, or do we want to come second and then have a more European favoured side of the draw? That's something, because you'd end up playing Spain, and then you probably play France, and you probably play Germany, and there's loads of Holland maybe. So it's really dependent on that. I mean, again, what do you fancy? Let us know. Let us know in the chat. Like, do you prefer to play your Brazils, your Argentinas, your Mexicos, or do you prefer to play your Frances, your Spains, your Germanys? What you're familiar with? It's an interesting sort of topic, really. But I think England. I think Tuchel's done the right thing. I think that as frustrating as the Ghana game was, I think when you look on it now, it's like, you know what, 0-0. Ghana qualified. Croatia are threadbare at the minute. I think it's fine. I think it's absolutely fine. Nothing to worry about. And what I like is that there is a lot of squad rotation as well. So the squad rotation at the back, people saying, "Oh, well, Stones and Konsa are playing," and then it's Gahey and Konsa playing, and it might be Stones and Gahey tonight, which could probably be the thing. And I personally think that we haven't had a fully strong starting 11 yet. I know Madueke's been playing, but let's be honest, Saka will be playing, won't he? If he's fit. And I think that's been a problem. I think that's the only thing I'd kind of question Tuchel is the fact that you've taken players that are not fully fit. I mean, Reece James now is apparently out for the next 2 games because of a hamstring injury. I think Declan Rice has kind of been aware of a hamstring sort of niggle and stuff like that. But yeah, I just think I think nothing to worry about. It's all good. And yeah, life's good. I think we could just enjoy the game tonight. Look forward to a knockout stage with Mexico in the Azteca Stadium. That'll be a great game. That'll be a fantastic game. The atmosphere will be brilliant, but I hope England kind of come up trumps and do the host nation, knock them out of the tournament. But anyway, that's enough from me. Thank you for joining. I'm going to go pick my daughter up now, and we're going to go out for a nice stroll around the park. Go and pick the dog up, have a nice daddy-daughter day, and then hand her over to mummy as the football starts to kick off. Thank you for joining. Hopefully see you next week. Stay hydrated. I'll see you soon.